Many people wouldn't know that I started my career as an interviewer. My first job was as a TV presenter on the NTA. But I quickly moved to doing interviews when I was 15. I quickly moved to doing interviews with Farafina and with This Day newspapers. Now at Farafina and This Day, that's when I first did an interview with Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and who has become a treasured auntie ever since. This was at least over 20 years ago. And when I finished doing the Chimamanda interview, and I had done a Dare Atalade interview 20 years ago, and I'd done a Jida interview, Jida was a contestant on Big Brother Africa, my publisher, at the time, one of my publishers, Mukhtar Bakari, said to me, you know, you're one of the best interviewers I've ever seen. I didn't believe him. I thought he was lying. I thought he was just trying to encourage me. You know, you are encouraging the youth. But he said, you know, don't stop doing this. Now, best or not, the point was that he thought that I was good at interviews. But I didn't believe him. And also, interviewer is not a career. You know, you don't blow from doing interview. You don't become rich from doing interviews. That's how I saw it. You don't achieve fulfillment by doing interviews. And so very soon I was looking for more defined career paths. I was looking for jobs that would take care of me, take care of my family, help me be proud of myself, have people be proud of me. And I left a thing that people had said that I was incredibly good at. Well, thanks to life that I got back here. But when Dr. Ayuba was speaking, that's what I remembered. Interviewing people is my calling. I always say that curiosity is my superpower. Interviewing people is a calling. Having conversations that feed the heart, the mind, the spirit. Before I started doing this show in 2020, for many years, I'd have many people, especially young people, who were going through tough times in their career, in their lives. I used to joke that I did an event called This Is Not Where I'm Supposed to Be in Life, because when they would come to my house, they'd be crying, this is not where I'm supposed to be in life. You know, and I had a chair in my house where I would give them advice. I would just tell them, first of all, one of my favorite quotes was, when did God show you the map of your life to show you where you are supposed to be at this point? But that's another day's story. But we were having these conversations when no cameras were there. And I was doing this because there's nothing that gives me greater joy than to have a person who is at an inflection point and to give the person, and to either just hear the person's story or to tell the person something that moves them just a bit more forward. And that calling has nothing to do with television. It has nothing to do with blowing. It has nothing to do with achievement. It has everything to do with what comes naturally to me. What comes naturally to you. That doesn't come naturally to many other people. That's your calling. And in a country like Nigeria, where there is a lot of poverty and fuel is gold, you can be distracted from the search for that calling because you're like, I don't have time to find my calling. Poverty is chasing me. I don't have time to find my calling. And, you know, I can't say that that concern is not valid. It's a very valid concern. You know, I can never advise a person not to make a choice that will give them more money in a tough country. I can't ever do that. But I can point to the life of Adewale Ayuba, who said, when his parents dropped him in Awolowo's house.
Awolowo and his wife have never seen that kind of child that will cry from
night till morning.
So they have to call my mother. That there's something behind this music for this guy. Like they've never seen a child that come and go to school. And I was crying, I'll go to school, but let me sing.
When I said to him, why didn't you leave music, even when it looked like it would never go bigger than what it was? He said, because there's nothing else he could do as well as music.
I don't know how to do any other thing than music. I've started at the early age of 6.
6 years. I went to a lunch with a friend yesterday, and he asked me, when you left your position as CEO of Red and went to do with Chude, how did you plan to make money? I know that people will never believe it because that's the society we are in, many people. But I honestly didn't know how I was going to make a living from just doing this show. There was no model. We had co-created and produced Robin Minds for over a decade. And I knew how difficult it was to get advertising for a talk show. This is not the career path I would have chosen. What I was looking for was money. This is not the career path I would have chosen. I mean, I could have moved to Abuja, you know. But at that point in my life, I had spent 3 years braving the wilderness. I spent 3 years doing nothing, standing still, just asking my spirit, what is the next step for me? Earning less money, earning less and less money. You know, being away from the media, being away from the click lights, just disappeared. And this came to me. This came to me. This is my calling. And the reason why it has achieved the kind of success it has is because I took a chance and took a risk to trust my calling. Again, in this country, it's extremely difficult to convince people that there is such a thing as a calling. So I'm not trying to convince people. I'm trying to talk to those whose hearts are already ringing, singing this song, where there's a still small voice saying, take the chance, take the risk, it is time. That anything that calls you into doing that you do better than anyone else, that comes naturally to you, it can never be a mistake to follow it.